Hi, I'm John Hemmings. I was an enslaved woodworker for Thomas Jefferson at Monticello. I was there since my birth. I did not mind being a slave considering the easy living conditions I was granted. Being an exceptional woodworker does that. As a young man a long while ago, I had built a lot of things, fences, barns, and also slave dwellings. This ability propelled me over other slaves. The hierarchy at Monticello was generally in my favor throughout my life. At 17 or 18, I don't really remember, I learned real woodworking. This was key in later years. Without learning how to work with wood, I would have been working in the fields like those other mindless slaves. A great leisure time activity was actually going to our church. They were filled with happiness like clapping and cheers. A sense of community was established. Even so, slave life was not heavenly. Looking at the common slave headquarters may be enough of a clue to back this up. Still, my home was better than most. On the mountain, I lived closer to Monticello than my friends. Burial areas for slaves were different than the burials of the Jefferson family. Ours were not in as grand of a location. Some were nearly even hidden. I could understand this if the tryouts the slave participated in went badly. Tryouts involved some skills that many slaves could not do. You would want to hide failure if you could. Master Jefferson pleaded to his overseers not to attack us. Life was okay because of his different perspective. Since he was rarely even at Monticello, though, the overseers did not always listen. Unfortunately for the slaves in the field, they were whipped more, especially with the ones who tried to run away. It was a painful sight to see a human being attacked like this. Although, sometimes pain was not used. Slaves committed wrongdoings all the time. Relatively often, embarrassment was all that was needed to right this behavior. Master Jefferson was caring. He understood the agony most slaves went through. I became the head joiner in 1809 after Mr. Dinsmore left. A joiner is the fancy term for making the wooden components of homes, such as staircases and whatnot. I dealt with it because of the rewards I was given. Annual payments let me pay for my own clothes and goods. I consider woodworking a leisure activity nowadays because of these payments. Maybe others wouldn't, but I would. There's this amazing woman that I know. Her name is Priscilla. Sadly, she belonged to Thomas Jefferson's daughter, living many miles from me. So, she went to live with me one day. It was amazing, but didn't last 6 or 7 years. Jefferson made me make the interior woodwork in this forest. Priscilla and I were separated. Even worse, the forest later burned due to fire. The best day of my life was when Master Jefferson made his will. Thomas had so much debt after his death that most of the slaves I had made friends with were sold away. But this will had set 5 slaves free. I was one of them. None of my 11 siblings had this fortune. I was literate, whereas many of the other slaves at Monticello were not, so the freedom had more value to me. Altogether, most slaves want to run away. Given my freedom and Master Jefferson's will, I technically was not given the chance. If I were, I don't think I would have left. A woodworking slave is okay with me. I, John Hemmings, would have chosen to be a slave.